Hey, it's Joe Amoia, the smarter dating guy, with another smarter dating tip. Today I want to talk about something that I hear all the time. It's about the rules. You know what I'm talking about. What are the rules? Are there rules? Well, let me say first off is that I absolutely abhor rules, okay? Especially when they're somebody else's. So I'm not going to give you any rules to follow because I think that, they're really not, they're somebody else's rules. It doesn't mean that they should apply to you. You get to decide. But I'm going to give you some guidelines. And the first guideline is that you get to decide what's right for you. Back when I was single, and let's face it, dating can be very frustrating. It's full of a lot of games, a lot of drama, and that was my primary rule, is that what? I didn't want any games or drama whatsoever. And so if I saw that there was going to be games, if I called someone and they said, I'll call you back, and they didn't call me back, or they said, let's go out again, and, I called them and they didn't return my call, I didn't chase them. I didn't, ask myself what's going on and what can I do to make them like me? What's wrong with, I've been there, done that. We've all done that. I simply decided that, this isn't the right person for me, because I knew that it didn't have to be games. There didn't have to be drama. I had relationships in the past where, I liked the person, they liked me. We went out and we simply kept pursuing it to see where it went. So I knew it was possible, and I decided that, I didn't want to go down that path again. So, the first rule is that you get to decide what's right for you. And the second guideline is that you have to be crystal clear on what your rules are. But you also have to be realistic. And you've got to be okay with your rule. If you've got this unrealistic rule that, a guy needs to call you back, within 24 hours of meeting you, you know what? It might be an unrealistic rule. People have lives, okay? And even if the date has been great, you don't know what goes on in another person's world. I truly believe that when a person is genuinely interested in you, they will show you, and they will show you relatively quickly. So if you just sit back and allow the process to unfold, you will see if the guy is genuinely interested in you or not. So when I say realistic, it's got to be something that works for you. And it's got to feel good for you. And I'll give you an example. Again, when I was dating, I was doing the online dating thing. And those of you who know me know that I'm a huge proponent of online dating, because you can literally meet someone in the comfort of your home when you know how to do it right. When you know how to screen guys, when you know how to ask them questions, you know how to engage them. And so there's a system into doing the online dating thing. And one of the things that I learned is if you do it right, there are a lot of great prospects out there. And it kind of weeds away, all the ones that you shouldn't invest your time or energy in. And what was happening is I was meeting women from all over the area. And I live in New York. I live in New Jersey, right outside of New York. So, I was meeting people in Manhattan. I was meeting, women in Staten Island, in Connecticut, in Westchester, in South Jersey, even some from Pennsylvania. And ultimately what I realized is that for me, it became a challenge. I had a career where I couldn't move. I had a practice and I had patients, and I couldn't just up and move, no matter how great and wonderful the person was. And then I also realized that in the women that I was dating, a lot of them had careers as well. And I noticed that it became an issue for them. They would have to give up the career, and that would be selfish of me to ask someone. I don't think anybody should ask someone to give up their life, their career. It should be something that you just work out together. Well, I noticed that became an obstacle for me. So I literally made a rule where if I have to go over a bridge or pay a toll to meet a woman, then you know what? It's not going to work for me. And I know some people might say that's unrealistic, or maybe it's too strict, but you know what? It worked. I actually wound up meeting my wife, and she lived less than 10 minutes from my house. And so she didn't have to give up her career. She didn't have to give up anything. And it really was convenient. So I know it may sound strange, but I promise you, if you're clear and your goals are realistic to you and they feel right, then they're going to work. And that leads us to the third guideline, which is don't compromise or second guess your rules once you set them. So one of the biggest mistakes we make is we set these rules, and then we might have a little dry spell, and then what happens, we tend to compromise, or we tend to second guess, or worse, we listen to others who tell us that we're picky. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my life was listen to friends and family members who told me I was too picky. Now, I believe that if I was going to spend the rest of my life with someone, I should be somewhat picky. See, I learned early in life that if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, it's more than sunshine and rainbows. When I was younger, my dad got cancer, and he went through a 4-year bout with cancer. And it really helped me to see about what love really was about. What my mother had to do and what she had to sacrifice, to help him with his battle, to be a mother, to, help provide for us, really, really showed me about what was important for a relationship to work. One of the things that I realized is that, life is going to throw stuff at you. And whether your relationship survives or not is how well you can work together as a couple. And so I kind of knew that earlier in life, but as I got older and all my friends were married and family members were married, they kept telling me, oh, you're so picky, you're so picky, you're so picky. And so I started listening, and I compromised, and I was like, you know what, maybe I am too picky. And as a result of that, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I wound up getting engaged to someone I should have never even gotten into a relationship with. And so what I learned from that is to never compromise. Is that if I know in here, and I believe you know in here, right down in here, right down in your heart, you know what's right and what's best for you. And so if you compromise and you go against your gut and you listen to others, very often it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. You know what I mean, don't you? So it's real important that you follow these 3 guidelines. Is that you first and foremost decide what's right for you. Secondly, you get crystal clear on what your rules are. And I suggest you might even want to write them out. And third is don't compromise or second guess or listen to others. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't take advice from them, but also you get to decide what's right and best for you. So I'm going to ask you a favor. We have thousands of women in the Smarter Dating community. And, we have women from all types, those who are struggling, don't know where to go, what to do, those who are told they're too picky, those who are unrealistic. I mean, we literally go across the whole spectrum. But what I'm going to ask you to do is if you have a rule that's working for you, maybe it's, something you do on the first date, whether you let the guy pay and you pay on the second date, or maybe after the first date, you send a guy an email saying how much you appreciate and how much you had a good time, or maybe you don't sleep with a guy after 5 dates or after, 2 months or 2 weeks, whatever that rule is for you. If you could share it with the other members of our community, it would be great. It would really help them out. So we set up something that's easy for you to do that. Below this post is a link to our Facebook fan page. So what I would like you to do is simply go there and share your rule and share why you think it's working for you, how it's helped you. Because I guarantee you there are going to be hundreds, if not thousands of other women who see that rule, who don't know about it, who can benefit from it. So I know this post is a little long today, but there's a lot of stuff in here. You might have to go back and watch it again. I know I tend to talk real fast, but I really, really hope it helped. And as always, would love to hear your feedback. I'll see you next week. God bless.